exquisite. We lucky patrons won free lifetime tickets to the Andean Cloud Theater's Upper Circle. In light of our good fortune, we spend every moment admiring the ongoing performance. Our unobstructed view allows us to appreciate each color and nuance, every act, every finale. Nimbus form the main cast, with occasional cameos by the cumulus and stratocumulus fluff. Like melting marshmallows, they swirl and stir imagination, blending Chinese white with pearl, pale peach, flint and pale slate, coconut and lily, angel wing, azure, aquamarine. By afternoon, Wind, the director, strides on stage to arrange where everyone stands and sculpt the towers of whipped cream to the stratosphere. Pushing everyone to center stage above the calderas, he creates rising warmth to heighten the drama, making lightning and thunder flash and growl as the rain warriors enter, shaking their spears. Mist enshrouds the mountains, moisture gently pricks our skin. Bolts light up the battlefield as warm and cold clash, bursting the clouds' fragile envelopes, releasing their torrent to fill the streams and lakes, swell the runoff from rivulets to cascades. Their burden shed, the players whiten and evanesce, while mockingbirds and sparrows tune up, cumulus once more line the stage, as the cracks between begin to show Carolina and Olympic blue and flashes of cerulean. Earth spins west to east, clouds follow like sheep, sucking up water, gobbling mists and vapors and sea exhalations, harried by the wind to pile up for their photograph at sunset, hanging out banners of crimson and scarlet, carmine and salmon. Stars of the show, the cumulus take their bows, their diamond white, edged with vermilion and raspberry. Stagehands scurry to raise the lights. We stand and stretch to applaud, overcome by the sun's scarf-trailing exit. We race from balcony to balcony, snapping the gaudy, feathered entourage. Replete, we settle again to witness the moon's glowing entrance, accompanied by a chorus line of stars. The gift of pain. If there were butterflies in February, or hummingbirds in March, flocks of emerald and scarlet, gold and turquoise would so assault our sleeping senses, buried in snow and benumbed by ice-gray skies, we would not survive the shock. It cannot be all candy clouds, the mother tells her child, or you would be sick of sweetness. But the child disdains her wisdom, pouting under blankets and TV and books, refusing to come out. I would too, except I remember June skies afloat with swarms of golden monarchs, swerving and lofting above the iris royal cloaks, and call to mind the cloud-born anointing, reviving, of the green land fainting under scourge of solar armies. I remember, too, the tears of the surrendering soldier, delivered from the uncertainties of war, and my own tears of unbelieving joy on my wedding day. In the providence of God, hope is pain's daughter, and so I go out to meet the inimical day, chill, bluster, ice, and all, and I decree like a queen of old, show me your gift. In falling light. As the earth turns away from her day star, he paints the eucalyptus and the footpaths red. Sidelit, the treetops preen. Above them, the rain clouds lower their bellies, tempting, tantalizing the thirsty trees. They will hide the moonrise, while the sun daubs peach juice on the slowest, and they mass in undulant layers of light and rain. Sunset captures me with its lack of definition, its colors brawling like street dogs, pinion me to the chair, unable to rise, to turn on the light, or to cook, watching dove and pearl, battleship gray and baby blue deliquesce, flow and reform, moving counter to the spin of the land below. Just as in childhood, when we played red light, green light till our faces and hands disappeared into dusk, I'm eking this out to the last morsel of cotton candy fluff, licking up the hindmost drops of light. When darkness finally looses the curtain, I'm ready, full of softness, wind, and rain, so full that I cannot hold more, except possibly dinner. Morning after night. Dark hours feed morning light's freshness, grade and sort its blues, greens, and whites. Dawn fills our eyes with whipped cream clouds, floods leaves with clean new chlorophyll, glazes mountains with sun's haze. Clearest water coruscates as it feeds the roots of trees. The new-made air polishes each shining second as it slides down the string of day. Black-eyed Susan vine spreads forest and gold across the glowing hills. Awe flows into my lungs as they take in life after night's omnivorous oblivion. Morning spreads bold-faced banners. We, after disappearing overnight, yet live. Ever living. Fragrant damp rises from the forest floor. On this northern coast, perpetual fog drip feeds both crown and roots. Even I, an ardent tree hugger, can't embrace their bulk. As my eyes lift toward the canopy, I'm peering through darkness into mist and a wan sun. My head arches back and back till vertigo sets in, though I still can't see the treetops. I wander between their close-set trunks, my feet silent on the soft mat of needles and leaves, my fingers touching the wet green moss, finding purchase on their red and fibrous bark. Hearing the blue jay's screams, sensing the feathery sping of dew condensing on my face. Silent spiders weave their webs, chipmunks screech their challenge, when I spy a circle of saplings sprouting from the rim of their burnt-out grandsire, incinerated by a furious blast of lightning long before I was born. His children grow far above my head, their branches intertwined in a slow-motion game of ring around the rosy. My brain clamps shut on the image branded behind my eyes, the indestructible chain of life. Head over heels. This poem is dedicated to my husband, Vincent. Before we met, you rose early, those damp gray Irish mornings, walked to school an hour before to play football. Never mind how your clothes fared. Poor things, they think the floor is their closet. Half the time, even now, you wear your socks mismatched or inside out and throw them in the basket, urging, find your partner. But since you've been in America, you did learn to wash them. Fun, quirky things about you abound. They are outnumbered, however, by the solid, strong, and kind things. Your compassion for those excluded. Your acceptance of me, adopting my daughter, rolling with the changes in me, doing the ickiest tasks. You are amazing. About you, I have no reluctance, no caution, no holding back. For 34 years, since I fell into those bright blue eyes of yours, I've been head over heels, totally insane, rotating around your light like a planet. And the miracle is, that circle dance will continue as long as I breathe, and maybe even after I stop. Standing upright. The hibiscus and the dahlias on the balconies stand up tall as palace guards, stretching for stray sun rays and cloud-spilled mist. Lilies and roses in their vase join them, despite their handicap, augmenting the chorus of my exuberant advisors outdoors, chanting, "Stand up straight." As we leave for our morning walk, my husband adds his advice to theirs, and I manage to heed them all for at least 5 minutes. I rally at least 5 times more before losing track of my resolve entirely in the cool mountain air, reveling in the rare blue and the silver froth of cumulonimbus skimming above the lush green hummocks of pasture. Dogs, horses, cows, and taxis spewing manure-laden dust all conspire to distract me. But the cloud-strewn volcanoes lift my eyes at least, and perhaps I'm a few inches closer to my full 5'1". No me importa, I think, and straighten the last few yards before relaxing unaware into my accustomed slump. No me importa means it doesn't matter. Into the fields of time. Come with me on a treasure hunt, back to the fields, the orchards, the beaches of time, when everything was new. Come. Back through the empty, dusty schoolrooms, abandoned football grounds, blacktop play yards, with their jungle gyms and merry-go-rounds, family picnics, sweltering Sunday school rooms, kindergarten rooms and preschools, all the way back to those first things. Ice cream's cold surprise, crunchy melt of cotton candy, afternoon striping you with shadow through the bars of your crib, nap time in the drone of small planes and helicopters, clatter and rasp of lawnmowers, early morning songs of meadowlarks in the open fields, mother singing as she clinks dishes, dogs barking safely behind the fence next door, sound of the waves hissing up the beach, eating your castle in satisfying swipes. Eden Norton, the smell of mown meadows, the life of the grass scattered by the wind. Farther back to your first steps, whirling in a circle, falling down dizzy and giggling. First box of crayons, first bite of pizza, sun-toasted goodness of oatmeal, buttery crunch of popcorn exploding in the pan. Play hopscotch on the burning sidewalk. Churn the pedals of the little blue tricycle, race the wind. Draw in the sea sound with a stick. Watch older kids fly a kite. Ride on your dad's or uncle's shoulders, touching the ceiling. Back there, before you have any words to say, how the sun makes you warm, drowsy, kindles the throb of the blood in your veins, or how the sea floods over your skin in titillating waves of deliciousness, while stealing the sand from under your toes. How snug you feel in the arms of someone who treasures your life. Look in the eyes of someone who sees your glory. Feel the safety of not even knowing there was ever a threat. Or stand under a great oak looking up, sensing its life rushing just beneath the bark beneath your tiny hand. Listen to the birds and squirrels who shelter there. Watch the ants and small insects running on their scent-marked trails. Smell the sticky pitch on your stubby fingers. Feel satiated with the sights, sounds, smells, thrills, songs, so sweet they shred your awareness into quivering bits of bliss. Or stirring your heartbeat to race and your feet to tingle until you fling yourself into flight, march, or dance. Shells, rocks, sticks, birds, flowers, stair steps, houses, fences, light patterns on the wall. Overfill you until you must sleep, your eyes folding over the day, letting you digest what it means to live on this earth. Remember, remember, remember the paradise you come from. Yolimar is homesick. My Venezuelan friend reflects that life can snatch in one moment what we have worked so hard to build all our lives, leaving us nothing. It does seem the universe is working assiduously to make us take that idea in. But it's hard. I sit in my Andean valley surrounded by vases of roses, admiring the deep red hibiscus on the balcony outside, exulting in the sunlight bouncing off the glazed roof tiles below us, turning them to precious silver. Rio Ambi is filled with runoff from the prodigious rain. Eucalypti are regrowing from their hacked-off roots, once more making a glory of the sun. This morning before dawn, both volcanoes had emerged from their cloud baths in the clear mountain air, and as we hiked, we could see for miles down the river valley below. We came across our little village's attempt to rival Hollywood with its long name in 10-foot letters. It's hard not to smile at such ambition. We walked home in the pristine air, still clasping hands after 35 years. Then ate a breakfast filled with fruit, arepas, freshly ground peanut butter, and agua pura, or a chaser. After breakfast, we spent an hour discussing what attracted us to certain people in our shared history, with whom we are simpatico at the moment, where we want to travel next, and what we are learning about ourselves. Not once did we entertain the thought that all this might disappear in moments, despite our having stood beside heavy 10-foot tall letters perched on a cliff that is even now eroding and collapsing to fill in our valley, as it has done for millennia. I can't live in fear, but these mountains slide slowly to the sea, pushed apart by boiling magma and splitting, falling rocks. Evidence abounds as well that occasionally they do explode. Yolimar reminds me that our lives are every bit as precarious as anyone's. As refugees mass on every shore and border trying to escape calamity, we think it's best for us to take care of those in our midst who have lost home, family, work, friends, and even faith. All our lives are as quickly and easily overturned as an anthill. Let's spread kindness until it is the fashion, de rigueur, that all of us need it to be. Taking up space. When I first saw the Milky Way, it shrank me to insignificance. A mite on a mote, on a flea on a mastodon's hide. I lived in LA, a massive city, in an enormous and mostly wild country of 300 million. A pick in a peck in a bushel of peaches. In those days, ants, wildflowers, sour grass, leaves, sand, sticks, and pebbles were my study. I sang to them as to my family. When I received the coveted blue bicycle, my range expanded to include 3 square blocks, their plants and pets and people. Up and down the cul-de-sacs I rode, observing and naming everything. Peach trees, the Lindgrens, rose bushes, willow trees waving, Dad painting, sculpting, fishing, Mom patting pie crust and boiling jam. I was a gnat eaten by a trout in a stream, in a river, in the sea. Teachers in high school and college proved to me I was nothing. Random, mortal, an accidental toy of impersonal forces, my sole purpose to constitute a single digit swimming in an ocean of numbers. That I had no place other than on a statistical chart describing the flow of other numbers, adding up to a planet with a sun among 100,000 million other suns, in a galaxy among 100,000 million other galaxies. In short, 1 in 10 to the 22nd power of suns. Accepting this, I sank into oblivion. A leaf on a Niagara, drowned, obliterated. They said I should marry, get a job, buy a car, have kids, mortgage a house, pay taxes and school fees, consume, throw away, consume some more. What did it matter? I numbed my brain, quenched my spirit, and tried to endure to the end. Secretly, I hoped it would come soon. Graduations, weddings, retirement, funeral plans, and then I began to take up space. I started by loving the wind and the trees, the rocks and rivers, Earth's crust, mantle, and core, the sun and its corona, the Milky Way itself and the universe. Proceeding on to my spouse, child, family, neighbors, animals, nations. Each time I opened the door to something new, it expanded me in unexpected ways. I purred as I fattened. Each being I took in made me larger, linked me to unmapped and poorly explored universes. Taking in and giving love was always the point of everything. Leaving the den. I emerged from winter slightly befuddled. Like a bear, I roll and stretch, sniff the mud and snow, the chill nipping my nostrils. Find a single green sprout, canary twigs on the willow, and a pale celeste sky. I pause to ingest the life-supporting green morsel, rolling it over on my tongue. It is slightly acrid and minty and gives me a pinch as it descends to feed my expectant microbiome, making me wish for celery and chives. On the horizon, I see waves of daffodil, forsythia, buttercup, and willow on the move, heading north to spread spring portents in every backyard, vacant lot, and pasture. Earth puts off its coat of ice, shrugging on an ancient green sweater, as sun warms the soil from frigid to chilly, to cool, moist, then warm. Microbes swarm to the bistro where water's now on tap. Their feet tap too, while dancing surges over the land. My blood begins to tingle, my pulse to bounce a bit more strongly, as a tide of lime and primrose promises to spill over the cherry orchards, the hedgerows, the magnolias, and drape Earth's roof with garlands. Synapses begin to snap and branch through all my nerves and bring me alive. It may be a ruse, I've been fooled before, but can it ever be too early to celebrate spring? One life, one love. There is no them. There's only us. Though each of us might think he or she is all alone, we labor for ourselves, or so we believe, but without all the rest working too, buying, selling, and exchanging what we need, there'll be no results for all our toil. We are breathed by the universe, exhaling all life into our lungs. Impossible to think of a separate existence. How would we eat or travel, create or procreate? We cannot even separate ourselves from the animalcules in our gut or the soil without dying. And at what point do the plants we eat stop being plants and start being us? Even our thoughts mix in the ether, come out hybrid, change our minds. So seldom are we the first to think or say or do a thing. And with our repetition, with the incremental changes that accrue, truth is shaped, whittled, modified, and imbibed by all of us in time. Let's try thinking of we instead of I. For despite all our differences, we are each woven into a single fabric that is whole and wholly beyond our sight. One life, one love. New under the sun. Earth turns over, stretching and yawning, as it has 28,345 times since I was born. Birds are busy with breakfast. Dogs challenging pedestrians' right of way. Water shouting down the valley, seeking the sea. Early morning clouds striping the sky. All is as it's always been. Even the waking roars of the chainsaws, like noisy brothers quarreling over toys, are annoyingly familiar. Sparkling leaves gobbling their breakfast snare my dismissive glance as they deck every bush and tree in glittering fairy lights. This valley's pointillistic gown is one I've not seen her wear before. What else have I not seen, shrouded in the cloak of long acquaintance? Turning curious eyes on the roofs below, I see the flight decks of the doves, the chimney landing pads of the great egrets grazing on the goldfish in our pond. My husband of 30 years sits beside me, a changed man from the one I danced with in my long white gown, wreathed in fragrant gardenias. His white hair is thin, pulled out, he jokes, by generations of students. I see new lines worn into his face by his losses. He feels my eyes on him, looks up and smiles, his blue ones alight as always, and I glimpse anew the tenderness of his regard. We are so vulnerable under our soft, warm skins, donning camouflage cloaks, inviting no notice and taking none, gliding through each morning without fully waking. I'm done with this dreaming now and committed to seeing beyond my sight and hearing beyond my ears. The valley is awash with wind. The trees are flexing limber spines. Thick storm clouds race to shroud the peak. Their loads spill down to drench the pines. They love their bath, those evergreens. Their slick, sharp needles share the treat with ferns and fungi poised below to catch the drops that land beneath. Below, the broad mycelial mat awaits to sop up all that's left, then serve as food for worms and such, and help the other plants digest. My eyes aren't sharp enough to read just where the raindrops go from there. From what I've seen, though, I will bet 10,000 others drink their share. Unpacking Guatemalan hopes. Here is my box from Guatemala, whose unpacking I've delayed because of sloth, my besetting sin. But now, on this day of winter sun, my searching hands excavate Gloria's stuffed toys, Estrella's necklaces with the tiny kaleidoscopic beads, Estefan's carved crosses, and Martine's leather belts made with discarded pop tops. Accompanying these treasures, more sunshine, the green mountain sides of the highlands and the tall trees and striped shadows of the forests cascade from the box, along with the memories of the disappeared, of the madness. These shape the people who shaped these gifts, and they tag along like dangling strings from the cuffs of the worn blue jeans the people wear. I touch each piece, fingering the story that I know, imagining the ones I don't. Gloria told me they had had few orders, and so I chose these things to sell, ratcheting up my courage to spend this much. For them, it is little enough. For me, it's a big risk. Still, it is worth it if it helps them reach their goals. I remember the group leader in Santiago Atitlan who said so simply, after 40 years of civil war, all we want is warm tortillas and peace. As I label each creation, that is my prayer. Please, God, food and peace. Overflow. When I see the last light shadow play, strobing the creamy walls with leaf minnows, shivering gusto stops my breath. I smile at myself, now aged much more than 2, hopping from foot to foot. Golden afternoons overflow my riverbanks with leaf rain, with honey, with fatness. Moved to seize this hour, I remember how the buttery light falls, fluttering to the ground, slowly letting go its purchase on the ceiling, the dusky mauves of sunset rising to overtake it in this northern autumn. Unclasping my hand, I begin to sizzle and percolate with hankerings for more and other. Night falls black here and still. Dancing feet glide, slow, begin a grass-padded pavan. Muffled in yards of inky velvet and diamond dust, Mother Moon unbars her gates, flooding the garden with lamplit fog. As I fall asleep, pillowed and nested, my cheek on my hand, unfolding the dream book that is me. I cannot pick just one, and so I take them all. Afternoon, night, morning, midday, as they whirl me hourly into the next embrace. Thanks for listening.